MPC Firmware 2.10 plus an audio interface. Absolutely crazy. Let's get into it. All right, so by now I'm sure that you guys have all heard that the MPC-1 has been updated to firmware 2.10. The MPC-1 as well as the MPC Live 1 and 2, as well as the software. I'm obviously focused on the MPC-1 because that's the one that I have. So what we're gonna look at today is how you can use the MPC-1 with the Tascam Model 24. Now, if you don't have the Model 24 or any of the Tascam mixes, this is just the information in this video applies to pretty much any audio interface that you have, because the capabilities that you will get they won't be exactly the same, but the very base capabilities as far as audio input and output, that will be the same. Okay, so let's get into this. So I'm just gonna play a track that I have loaded up so far, and right now the MPC-1 is connected to the Tascam, and the Tascam is actually working as the audio interface for MPC-1. So what that means is that the audio inputs and outputs that are physically on the MPC-1, pretty much those have been disabled. Okay, if you think of it as your MPC-1 is like a computer and your interface is an interface, then it kind of takes all of like the mystery out of it. All right, and so when I hit play, you'll see on the Tascam that tracks 1 and 2 will be those will be the ones that will be going. Those are the ones that are up over there right now. So as you can see, tracks 1 and tracks 2 are moving up and down on the meter. So right now, I have the settings for those tracks to PC, and that basically means that the live input is disabled and the USB input is enabled. Okay, now what this will allow me to do as well is now I can go in to pad mix by hitting shift right here. Then I'm gonna go to route. Okay, so now what's coming off of this program right here is it's actually the kick, the snare, and the hi-hat, but I have the kick, I think, in a different track. So what I'll do is with the the snare, I'm just gonna select that track, and then I'm just gonna turn the knob. And what that's gonna do, as you notice now, it says out 3 and 4. What happened is it's not coming out because out 3 and 4 is muted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the snare on track, let's put that on track 11. So I'm gonna keep going through until I get to the end. So now the snare is on track 11. So if I mute it, you can see that it's no longer hearing it. The hi-hat I'm gonna put on track 10. There's hi-hat's there. And the kick, I believe, is right here, excuse me. Kick is there, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that kick, maybe that's not the kick. No, it's definitely not it. All right, so let's go to the track with the kick. It definitely was a kick. I don't understand why that didn't happen, but whatever. We're gonna take this, and I'm gonna put this on track 12. So you see sometimes it'll say out 1, 2, 3, 4, or then it will have an individual. So if it has 2 numbers on it, that means it's going out through a stereo output. If it has 1, it's going through a mono output. Now the sample itself, I believe, is on track 1. So what I'm gonna do is here, instead of using pad mix, I'm going to go to track mix instead. And in track mix, I'm just gonna go to this program here, go to route. See, it says out 1 and 2, so I'm gonna put this one on 13 and 14 because that's the stereo channel. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's actually the wrong channel, the wrong mix, wrong program, excuse me. So this one here, so now you hear that the sample is lower, it doesn't have any bass in it, and the reason why that is because the Tascam has an onboard EQ, and what I've done is I've basically like turned the low frequency down on that track. All right, so now that I have everything all sorted out, okay, if you look over here, you'll see that I have the sample on tracks 13 and 14. I have the kick on 12, I believe. Yeah, the kick is definitely on 12, the hi-hat on 10, and the snare on 11. And is the only reason I chose those is because I have previously kind of had the EQ set up just for that. So and that is actually something that I really love about this, because now what I can actually do is I can go right here, like say for this is the hi-hat track. Now I can kind of turn all of the low frequencies down for the hi-hat track, for the kick, for the snare track. If I want to add a little bit of mids to it to get the snare to kind of hit a little bit harder, I can do that. And then on the kick track, I can add a little bit of low frequency to that to make it stand out a bit. So let's hear that in action. So I'm gonna turn this up just a bit. So what I want to do right now is I'm actually going to I'm going to take some of the bottom out of the sample, and now I'm going to add some bottom to the kick. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I did that backwards. So yeah, so you can hear the kick. Obviously I'm overdoing it right here just to kind of show you what you can do, but like this is, to me, this is pretty dope. And so usually what I like to do is I like to have the bass kind of hitting a little bit at the lowest frequency. So instead of using this EQ knob for the kick, I actually use this one because it's you can change the bandwidth, not the bandwidth, excuse me, you can change the actual what frequency you want to affect here. So I'll turn it down to the lowest, which is 100, and I'll give the kick a little bit extra right there. Right? And I might actually give the sample a little extra on 80 because that's where the bass is coming through anyway. And then for the snare, so with the snare, I just added some high end and a little bit of mids and a hi-hat. I'm right here, you can see that the low frequency has actually been cut all the way out, or pretty much most of the way out, and add a little bit of highs to that. Okay, so it's really kind of simple, and for me it's kind of mind-blowing. I love it. Now the great thing about this is now I can go to the sampler on here, right? And if you look at where it says input, it's set to 23 and 24. Now this particular mixer has 22 inputs and outputs on it. The outputs are not physical, they're just like literally outputted through the speakers or whatever. But now that, because it goes up to tracks 21, 22, inputs 22 and 23 and 24 are actually a 2-track of everything that's going into the mixer. And so what that allows me to do is it allows me to play my track and then have it literally fed back into the MPC, and then you can simply put some effects on it as it goes in, and you can basically mix it kind of out of the box, you know, if you want to call it that, and then bring it right back in the box and like put some sort of like, you know, mastering effects on it if you want it. I know now someone's gonna probably be like, oh, you can't mix and master. Listen, you can do whatever you want to do. It's your life. But all I'm just trying to show you is that like the capabilities of this are pretty awesome. And now if you only have, now let's say you have a interface that has less than the amount of inputs and outputs that mine has, that doesn't really make a difference. What makes a difference is that the fact that you know where your last inputs are. So if you have a 2-input mixer, you know when you go back to the sample page, when you go to input, you go to input 3 and 4, that will allow you to route the audio back in. Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk about how to set it up. So in order to set this up, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your home screen, hit the house right there. Then you want to go to, I'm sorry, you actually don't have to do that. Go press Shift and Preferences. Then go to audio device, okay? As you can see, my audio device is set up to be the Tascam Model 24, and then 32 inputs and outputs. Like automatically, you have 32 inputs and outputs on your on the MPC once you select it, but it will also depend upon how many inputs and outputs your interface has, okay? I'm sure there's a lot more to dig into with this, and as I learn more, I will definitely share more. I'm very new to the MPC One. I've had it probably for a few months, but I really haven't had the chance to really dig into it the way that I would like to. If you're on an MPC and you have an iOS device such as an iPad or iPhone or even the iPod Touch, you should check out the video that Miss Led over at We Sample Everything posted, because she's basically showing you how you can use your MPC One. You can connect it to your iPad and use your iPad, use your MPC One or your MPC Live as a controller and an audio interface for your iOS device, and that is a whole other level of dopeness in my opinion. Anyway, it's your boy Cheese. I'm signing off for Beatmakers the Squad. Peace.